Good morning. My name is Lisa Dazel. I'm from the Unisa Directorate for Counselling and Career Development. A very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us this morning. I see that we have few attendees who have joined us so far, but we are hoping that others who have registered for the event will also join us. We will be recording the session, so if you are not able to stay for the whole session, or if you couldn't join us, you are welcome to watch the recording then on our YouTube channel, and we will also be sending out an email to provide you with the link of the recording after the session. Just some housekeeping before we start with our program. During the program, you will see that there are times for questions and answers. So during those Q&A sessions, you're welcome to ask your questions live. But as you are listening to the presentations, we would also encourage you to post any questions or comments you have in the chat so that the presenters can also respond to those in the chat. We just ask that you don't share any personal information in the chat. So personal information would be, for example, your telephone number or personal email address, so that we can also just protect your privacy. And we just ask that you listen carefully to the presentations, make notes as you are listening, so that we can have those questions while we have the presenters with us. So with that, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Mrs. Mandu Makanya. She's going to introduce our speakers to us throughout the program. But before I do that, I also want to welcome my other colleague, Mr. Bekin Zorbe. He will do the closing for us. So with that, Mrs. Makanya, you are welcome to introduce our first speaker to us.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Ms. Dazel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to introduce our first speaker for today. I will close my camera as I introduce Dr. Chimangazo. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Chimangazo Munonde obtained his MSc in Nanoscience and PhD in Chemistry at the University of Johannesburg in the years 2016 and 2020 respectively. He is currently a senior lecturer of analytical chemistry and the chair of Engaged Scholarship at the Institute for Nanotechnology and Water Sustainability, known as INANOS, of the University of South Africa. His research work, ladies and gentlemen, focuses on the use of waste-derived nanomaterials for water treatment and remediation, water quality analysis and monitoring, as well as nanomaterials application in energy generation and storage devices. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Munonde is an emerging researcher who has served in both the industrial and academia platforms before joining Unisa in 2023. He was a postdoctoral research fellow at Mintech, where he also served at Mintech's internal project funding review panels. Dr. Mnonde was also awarded the Global Excellence Status GECS Fellowship in 2020 in support of his postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Johannesburg. He was also awarded the CSIR NRF Professional Development Program Scholarship for his PhD studies and was based at the CSIR. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Munonde has also lectured spectroscopy and sample preparation techniques in MSc Nanoscience classes at the University of Johannesburg and has lectured general chemistry for first-year mining engineering students. He is currently involved in the supervision of 6 postgraduate students for MSc and PhD, having supervised 1 MSc and 1 BTech student to completion. He has published several journal articles in DHET accredited journals, book chapters, and presented in various international and national conferences and workshops. Dr. Munonde is an associate member of the SACI and a member of CROM SA. He also serves as a reviewer in international journals. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Munonde is also currently serving as an associate guest editor on the Frontiers in Chemical Engineering Journal. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our virtual hands together to welcome our speaker for today to our virtual program. Dr. Munonde, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Ms. Makanya, for the introductions, and thank you so much for inviting me today. Perfect. No, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. As I said, thank you to the organizers for inviting me today to give a talk on opportunities in water, in nanotechnology and water sustainability. As introduced, I am from the Institute for Nanotechnology and Water Sustainability at the University of South Africa, and I am currently a senior lecturer who is doing various work on water treatment and also some energy devices or energy related research. So, okay, yes, no, thank you. Maybe before I could dive into the opportunities in nanotechnology and water sustainability, it would be ideal to start by defining what is nanotechnology. How does it differ from nanomaterials? How does it differ from nanoscience? Because quite often people confuse the three. They think nanomaterials, nanoscience, nanotechnologies, the same thing. However, there are some minor differences, though there is some convergence in the three. So nanomaterials usually are materials or matter that is at a nanoscale, which is usually between 1 to 100 nanometers. That means we have one dimension that is in that scale of 1 to 100 nanometers. And using these nanomaterials, we can then apply them in nanotechnology to then, measure, manipulate, assemble devices, several devices. So nanoscience then is the study of these nanomaterials at an atomic and molecular scale, whereas nanotechnology refers to the application of the nanomaterials in devices. If you can look at the image on the right, on the left, there is the convergence of nanotechnology, nanomaterials, and nanoscience, as you can see, that form a broader scope of material science. And below it, this is some of the applications that have been used, in nanotechnology, such as prevention of diseases, where you'd have drugs that are designed to target specific areas. With nanotechnology, that is possible. With these drugs, when they are injected, they go target to a specific targeted area. It doesn't affect other areas, such as the traditional medicine that we see. So nanotechnology has advanced in that field as well as treatment, where you'll be given medication that targets a specific ailments that you are suffering from. And also it has been used in diagnosis, like in COVID-19, where you would have your gold nanoparticles, devices that are then embedded into systems that will then be able to help, in detecting different diseases. And also they have been used in pregnancy tests as well. Instead of relying on our grandmothers who will just say, hey, I can't see you well now. We have devices that uses gold nanoparticles. When those gold nanoparticles interacts with some of the fluids that comes from our bodies, they can give you a signal that then tells you if you are pregnant or not, in pregnancy devices, amongst other devices. So nanotechnology is very broad. It covers different areas, as you can see there, in food, in agriculture, in medicine, in biotechnology. It covers a wide range of fields. However, for the purpose of this presentation, we'll focus mostly on water treatment and other technologies that influence the water treatment. So global challenges such as climate change, energy, water pollution, environmental challenges require solutions that can be delivered through nanotechnology. So we'll see how nanotechnology then impacts water sustainability going forward. So let's look at water sustainability as well. But before diving into these opportunities that are presented in nanotechnology and water sustainability, let's just zoom in the water challenges. It will help us give context into why nanotechnology could be transformational. So if you can see on the top right, you see that the water that we have on the earth, 100% of the water, of the 100% water that we have on the earth, 97% of it is saline, which is seawater or salty water. And then fresh water is only 3%. That is what is available for us. It's 3%. And then it can be narrowed down into groundwater, into icebergs and glaciers, and also surface water. Surface water, that is what we use mostly, that is there in lakes, is there in rivers, it's there in swamps, as 0.3%. You can imagine how much of the water is there that we cannot use. We can only use 0.3 water, that is surface water from lakes, rivers, and swamps. And we can narrow it down in terms of the applications that we use this water for. As you look at the bottom left, we can use water in agriculture, which takes most of the water that we use. About 60% of the fresh water that we use goes to agriculture or the agricultural industry. And then 27% is domestic, that can be rural or urban domestic water that we use in our houses and hospitals, amongst others. And then industrial consumes 3%, and power, mining, a further 4% and 3%. So you can see that most of the water that we use goes to the agriculture, goes to before it comes to the domestic activities that then consume this water. However, the challenges that we are having due to all of these activities leads to environmental degradation, such as the wastewater that pollutes the environment, because of the agriculture will yields to wastewater, domestic will yield to wastewater, industrial will yield to wastewater, power generation will lead to wastewater. All this wastewater then degrade our environment such that it pollutes the surface water that we have, and also the environment in general, the soil, the sediments, amongst others. So looking at climate change as well, climate change also doesn't do us any justice. Looking at the impact of climate change, many regions are experiencing higher temperatures and lower rainfalls, or inconsistent higher rainfalls. And this is a lethal combination that has an impact on our freshwater reserves. And according to reports, by 2025, 2/3 of the water, or around 66% two-thirds of the population, around 66%, may experience water scarcity due to global warming-driven droughts that are influenced by the activities that I've shared previously, agriculture, industries, amongst others. And the United Nations World Bank has actually reported that droughts could drive 700 million people out of their homes globally. Resulting in that can result in political stability, and also fresh water is actually becoming the new gold as when you look at it, because of the challenges that we are facing. So how then do we use nanotechnology in ensuring that there is water sustainability or opportunities that are available there. In our institute, we have quite a broad range of nanotechnologies, such as adsorption membrane technologies, photocatalysis, disinfection technologies, sensing and monitoring, technologies that we look at in terms of how we can use these technologies to serve humanity. How can we use these technologies to deal with the challenges that we are facing in terms of water purification? We use nanomaterials that we can apply as filters or in filtering devices or membranes that could remove contaminants from water. As you can see in one of the images below in the bottom left, we have membranes that are being developed for to treat water. You put raw water there, and then it passes through different membranes, nanofiltration, microfiltration, ultrafiltration, and reverse osmosis membranes, such that at the end you have clean water that can be used mostly for drinking. However, it would depend on when we assess the water, can we drink the water or not? And then there are also different nanosensors that are being detected, that are being used to detect contaminants in water at very low concentrations. That is something that we do also in our institute, and also break down pollutants or reduce toxicity from wastewater using advanced oxidation processes that can be used in this. And water is it doesn't have to be looked as a single sector, because it affects the energy and the food and vice versa. That's why we look at the water, energy, food nexus. In this area, we are describing the interrelations between the demand of water, energy, and food, because as you have seen previously, agriculture is the largest consumer of the world freshwater resources. That means food and water can be related in that way. Every step of water treatment also consumes energy. Harnessing energy also requires a lot of water. So you can see the connections between water, energy, and food. Hence, the water, energy, food nexus. And these allow research to focus on various sustainable development goals simultaneously to ensure resource sustainability. And this has seen advances in green nanotechnology as well, that serves as an opportunity for research that is now taking this direction. So these are some of the opportunities that people who study nanotechnology and water sustainability find themselves on these research fields. So this is some of the opportunities that are there. And also, when we dive in deep into it, there are areas of research that are driven by green nanotechnology, such as clean energy. On the right there, you have batteries that we use different nanomaterials to try and get very high performing batteries, hydrogen production from water, to clean energy. So these are some of the opportunities for research that are available, especially in our institute, where we focus on both water, energy, and also food. Like that, because we want to try and come up with different technologies that can lead to safe food, that can lead to clean water, that can lead to clean energy in a cost-effective manner that is eco-friendly, sustainable, and safe as we move towards green chemistry principles. So these are some of the study opportunities that are available in our institute for those who would like to take a career in nanotechnology, especially looking at water sustainability. So we have different thematic areas within the institute that we look at environmental surveillance in AER, which is analytical and environmental research thematic areas. These researchers here look at environmental surveillance in terms of what is in the water, what is in the water that we are drinking. Is the water that we are drinking safe? This is also coupled with AEC, which is analytical and sensors where they have different sensors to detect pollutants in water, to check the water quality in applied electrochemistry. And also they look at green energy technologies development. And then in membrane science and technology, we also do a lot of work on membrane technologies for wastewater treatment. As you have seen, that 97% of the water that is available, we cannot drink it, we cannot use it because it's salty water. Using these membranes, the salty water is then treated such that we recover the salts on the surface of the membrane while recovering water that we can then use either to drink or for other activities. So that is one area that is very, very important as well, the membrane technologies for wastewater and also desalination process. And then we also look at technologies, different technologies that influence drinking water treatment plants and also wastewater treatment plants, such that we look at the quality, we assess the quality of water that is coming from drinking water plants or wastewater treatment plants from different municipalities. We are working with quite a number of municipalities within the institute. So how then do you prepare your career for nanotechnology? It starts basically in high school, where you would maybe go for physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, but it is not limited to this. But these are ideal subjects that one will take in order to pursue a degree in undergraduate studies, such as material science, chemistry, physics, or engineering. So in our institute, what we do is we take masters and PhD students to then come into these research programs that I have described previously, and also they are also these are give opportunities for hands-on research for students and also collaborating with experts in the field. We have quite a number of advanced researchers in terms of their profession, the professors, the associate professors, senior researchers who are doing work on water sustainability in terms of applying nanotechnology for water sustainability. And we focus mostly on applied research. We're no longer focusing on fundamental research, where the role is just for one to understand what nanoscience can do. We also look at applied research. How can you apply this research to deal with issues that people are facing in terms of water sustainability? So in terms of the careers themselves in nanotechnology, one can be a scientist researching on new materials and their properties, and also you can be an engineer who focuses on designing and developing systems and devices that work at a nanoscale. So what most scientists do, the engineers, they sort of make sure that this goes into, they upscale what has been done in from the laboratory scale by scientists, and make sure that devices are then they don't come into the market through nanotechnology. And also lab technicians are now applying nanoscience knowledge in method development, in material analysis, such as in mines, when they try to analyze different minerals, they use nanotechnology, they apply nanotechnology in terms of them analyzing their samples. We also have policy makers. You see, the nanomaterials that are being used, they have to be regulated. They have to be standardized methods. They have to be ethical considerations. They have to be check considerations as well. So we have people who after studying their and obtaining their nanoscience or in their nanotechnology related qualifications, go and work as policymakers. And we also have end users who just use the nano-enabled devices for maybe water quality monitoring, food quality monitoring, air quality monitoring, amongst others. And here are some of the, some of the entities that would have job opportunities for those who have pursued a career in nanotechnology and also in water sustainability. So I will not read them, but it's ESCOM, Mintech, amongst others. And also, what is important is that there are a lot of startups or entrepreneurship opportunities that we have seen coming. Here are some of the companies that have been started on the basis of nanotechnology, and we anticipate more as we also see the application of 4IR in water treatment and nanotechnology as well, coupling nanotechnology and 4IR. And also, these are some of the job titles that most of the people in nanotechnology would get. You would have research and development engineers, you would have research directors, you would have lithography technician, amongst others. And thank you. This is what you can get through trying to dive into the nanotechnology platform and water sustainability career path. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mononde. That was quite interesting. I must say I was not that, au fait with the different job titles and the career opportunities. So that was definitely enlightening. I'm going to just enable the microphones for everybody in the call. I just want to ask that unless you have your hand up, then we will call you out to ask your question. But please just stay muted so that we don't disturb others or the presenters on the call. So I'm just going to allow the microphones. Okay, if you have any questions for Dr. Mononde about all the information that he shared, you're welcome to raise your hand so that he can answer those questions. I just quickly saw Ntombi's, your microphone was open. I wasn't sure if you would want to ask a question.
Sorry, no question at the moment, sorry.
Okay. Do you know what the rule is, that if you open your microphone, you have to ask a question? Okay, so
I'm sorry about that.
no problem. Let's hear also, if you are not able to unmute and ask your question live, you're also welcome to post any questions in the chat. I've also, as Dr. Mononde has presented, taken some screenshots of the slides that he shared. So I would really encourage those of you who are interested in the fields of nanotechnology and water sustainability to use this information shared by Dr. Mononde to do some further research. For example, he spoke about the different applications. Something interesting that he mentioned is also the number of startup opportunities available. So there's a lot of further research that you can also do based on what he shared. Dr. Mononde, I just wanted to ask you, as far as I understood, the iNanos at Unisa is more focused on postgraduate research. Am I correct in that understanding?
Yes, you are correct. We are mostly focused on masters and PhD postgraduate students.
Okay, and then a follow-up question that I had, would you characterize then the nanotech and water sustainability research, is it more interdisciplinary in nature? And the reason why I'm asking is that when you showed that slide about the different kind of undergraduate qualifications you can use to prepare yourself for opportunities in this field, I saw that there were a number of disciplines represented there.
Okay, no, thank you so much for the question. Yes, indeed, when you look at nanotechnology itself, it's an interdisciplinary field where it covers medicine, it covers chemistry, it covers biotechnology, life science, amongst others. So one would take, let's say, for instance, if you are in medicine, you can then prepare drugs that are target specific using nanotechnology, and you don't necessarily have to be in a medical doctor to do that. You can do that even as a chemist. You can do that as a biotechnologist. You can do that as a life science related person. It doesn't limit anyone who is within these career paths. One can dive into nanotechnology in different forms of applications, such as water treatment, energy, medicine, amongst others. So it's multidisciplinary in that sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Munondi. There's a question here on the chat. Do we have water storage systems in South Africa? I'm asking this question based on the water that we get during heavy rains and floods.
Can you come again? I didn't quite clearly get the question.
Okay, so the question is, do we have water storage systems in South Africa? I'm asking this question based on the water that we get during heavy rains and floods. Mando, I'm not sure, can you maybe, since you asked the question, could you maybe clarify a bit more for Dr. Mononde?
Thank you, Dr. Mnunde. Thank you, Lisa. I'm just asking this question because I'm thinking of the times when we have an abundance of water in our country during floods and heavy rains. That do we have a system of storing water so that when we have seasons like flood, that we have backup, or just that we have water, and that water is not wasted. That's what crossed my mind as Dr. Mnonde was presenting.
No, thank you so much, Ms. Makanya. That's a beautiful question. Yes, what usually happens is that you will find that all the water would go to the nearby rivers. It will go to nearby dams that then we can abstract the water from dams or rivers to nearby reservoirs where they are treated before they are distributed to various locations, and so that the end users can then start using the water. So in terms of storage, we rely on rivers, we rely on dams, especially dams. If you can see, there are other dams that are constructed basically to store water, so that whenever there are floods, whenever there is enough water, the dams are at greater levels, such that when now we do not have water, that water can then be used sustainably to give end users, to supply to end users when the need arises. So usually there will be construction of dams, as you can see in most areas. Even now, there are a couple of dams that are being constructed. I saw one in the KZN where they are constructing it just for storage, so that whenever there is a need, they can abstract that water, treat it, and then supply to end users. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mununde. There's a question on the chat, interesting one also, that we have a student who is studying law at Unisa. They are saying, thank you for the informative presentation and the insights into nanotech. Unfortunately, I didn't take any science subjects in matric. Are there any courses from where I can start my journey towards nanotech?
Okay, no, thank you so much. Yes, indeed, even if you did not study any science-related courses, you can still get into the nanotechnology field. I assume the person said they are studying law, if I heard that properly.
Yes.
So there are also opportunities in terms of regulations. I remember these nanomaterials that are being used. We don't know as to how safe they are right now. There's research that is going to establish the safety of these nanomaterials. So there will be regulations that are involved. Also, it includes lawyers in the process, such that when there are policies that are being made, there are policies that are being drafted, they are drafted with those who have a background in law. That's why there are now short certificates in that one can study nanotechnology just to understand, so that when they apply it in their fields, even in the field of law, where they become policy makers, they need to have a background of nanotechnology. That's why there are those short-term courses. If you can look around, you will find those short-term courses that will then help with knowledge in terms of nanotechnology, so that one can then dive into that field that is lacking in the moment, because we don't have as many policy makers as we would want to have, because of the advancement of the technology itself. So nanomaterials are being used, but we are not quite sure how safe they are. And then policymakers will then come in handy in that field, and lawyers are the most ideal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manandi. So what I also understand is that in order for us to solve or to contribute to solving the problems of, for example, water and food security, using nanotechnology and sustainability practices, we need practitioners or professionals from different fields of study who have a common understanding of these issues. So you won't necessarily contribute as a scientist, for example, in a laboratory, but through your research, there are other contributions that you can also make if that is the kind of problems that you are interested in solving in the future.
Most definitely. Now we have seen the influx of social scientists into the nanotechnology career path, because as nanotechnology is diverse, is interdisciplinary, we need such skills as well, so that when we visit a community, because we do a lot of community work, as I was introduced as the chair of Engaged Scholarship at INANUS, we visit different communities to offer solutions in terms of applying this nanotechnology based devices that we come up with in the lab, and then go and assist communities with ensuring that they get clean water provisions, as it is their democratic right. So we need those social scientists to help us relate with the communities better, and also other professionals from different fields, such that that becomes an easy process when we have to relate with communities out there. So yeah, definitely it is we need interdisciplinary career paths within the nanotechnology pathway.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nonde. A very informative answer, and a very important answer also. There was just a follow-up on the previous question. Thank you so much for the response, Doctor. I've been looking into environmental law for this reason for quite some time now. I'm glad to know that I can contribute positively towards this field through my profession. So that's just some feedback from the student who asked the question, from the law perspective. I think, this question and the answer certainly highlights to all of us that as you are studying, regardless of your field of study, it's always useful to go and take a look at what are the different problems in our communities, in our society, in the world at large, and how would I want to contribute to that? That also helps us to really very broadly explore the different opportunities and not just be stuck with, the kind of a narrow outlook in terms of what we can do with our qualifications. Dr. Mnonde, I really want to thank you. We can stay here with you the whole day talking about nanotechnology and water sustainability, but we need to move on to our program. So I'm just going to invite my colleague, Mrs. Makanya, if you could please introduce our next speaker to us.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mnonde. Thank you, Lisa. It gives me pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our next speaker. She is a talent acquisition specialist with Standard Bank Group. Her role is in personal and private banking and in technology within the business unit. Her specific departmental focus is on data and analytics, PPB, South Africa technology and digital, and e-commerce. She has 17 years of working in recruitment, covering technology, finance, consulting, and banking industries. Ladies and gentlemen, our speaker has outside interest from the world of work. When she is spending her time resting, she relaxes with hiking and running and beach trips and fishing. She is currently servicing PPB technology, mostly recruiting professionals such as data engineers, software engineers, quality engineers, developers, and solution architects. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together, our virtual hands together, to welcome to our virtual stage, Ms. Isai Chatrogun. Ms. Isai, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you to the speaker for introducing me, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning on behalf of Standard Bank, and particularly the Personal and Private Banking Business Unit, focusing on technology. So from the brief that I have been given, I'm speaking specifically to students within the data science as well as the technology sphere. So that is the discipline that you're currently pursuing. So what I will be focusing on, I have prepared a few slides. I will be focusing on a few pillars. So I will be focusing on how to prepare you for the world of work from a technology opportunity perspective in terms of writing a skills-based resume, preparing you for an interview process, whether it be permanent or graduate opportunities, as well as just covering your personal brand and how to position your branding out there in the market or in the world of work, and then ending off with what are some of the type of roles and opportunities that you could be pursuing specifically through the Standard Bank employment opportunities. So I will, and then I'll take questions at the end as well. Okay, so you can hear me clearly?
Yes, thank you, Isa. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I will switch off my camera just so that I could share my screen from a presentation perspective, and I will switch on again at the end. So if there are any questions, Lisa, if you don't mind, you can just in between that people want me to also address, I'm happy to do that, or we can leave the questions to the end.
Sure.
Okay, I just want to share my screen. Do also just let me know when everybody can see my screen, if that's okay.
I will. There you go. It's visible. Thank you.
Perfect. So just in terms of my agenda for this morning, sorry, is it moving? It's not moving, right?
We're still seeing the title screen.
Okay, it's not. There we go. Okay, so as I highlighted, I will be covering starting with how to create a skills-based resume, how to prepare you for an interview in the employment market, focusing on some of the key principles of personal branding and the types of roles. So, within Standard Bank, we have the graduate versus the permanent employment opportunities. I specifically look after permanent work opportunities for Standard Bank Personal and Private Banking Technology Group. There are other pillars within technology. So just high level, the group is split up into separate pillars from a business perspective. So I cover personal and private banking workforce in Standard Bank. So from a group perspective, we have the largest number of technology employees. You then have the second pillar, which covers our corporate and investment banking pillar within Standard Bank. And they also have a technology specific talent acquisition specialist, and they have a technology workforce looked after by a colleague of mine. And the third pillar would be the insurance and asset management pillar. They recruit a few sort of technology people there within their workforce. And then the last pillar is corporate functions, but they don't actually have a central pillar of technology capability or technology workforce. It is split across the different business areas. So just in terms of the type of roles, I will cover what is the process from a graduate versus permanent opportunity perspective. Was there a question?
Isa, I just want to check, we're still seeing the screen where you've got the agenda for today. I'm not sure if there was a slide after that. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm moving on to CV and interview preparation. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so when we talk about positioning yourself in the market, I think the first step starts with whether you're applying for a graduate program or a permanent employment program. It's about how to create your skills-based CV. So when you're creating a technical CV and you're looking for a job, particularly within IT and technology, it is recommended to be as specific as possible. It is the first point of contact with any client, be it an agency or be it a corporate. It is a chance for you to sell yourself as a technologist or a technology expert. You need to keep it very focused, and you need to be able to ensure you are listing your technical stack in terms of what you've pursued from an education perspective. So you will start off with a brief personal summary, introducing yourself, telling your corporate or your client who you are. It sounds simple enough, but it's very important. It's a good personal profile. It has a good bio, telling us what you know what you're talking about. What is your objective? What is your goals? What is your ambition? Using it to give us insight into who you are as a tech professional. So make sure you focus on how you will be making a difference to this tech team. Keep it short, brief, concise, get straight to the point, make sure it reads well. So when somebody looks at your CV or your resume, even glancing over it, the key points stand out that is really specific for the role that you're applying for. Highlight your skill set. So use the job spec for the role you're applying for. So make sure that when you're applying for a specific job, generally speaking, it is through websites, through specific, all done digitally at the moment. Make sure that you read the job spec, that you read what you're applying for, and you tailor make it to your to what tailor make your CV to what that is. So use that as a guideline, and then you can highlight what technical skills you need to feature. Draw attention to your key strengths, and make sure you arrange them from an advanced to a mid or intermediate level, moving on to basic. That is quite important. From an experience perspective, focus on your technical wins. So, I mean, with this audience not having specific work experience, highlight your personal accomplishments, what you've done at the institution academically or outside of your institution, where you've involved yourself in certain voluntary activities, etc. Make sure it's you've worked on and what specifically were the accomplishments in those projects. From an experience perspective, obviously, once you're in the world of work, it would be filling out your experience chronologically, focusing again on the wins and your working career in a tech perspective. When companies see your job application, they want to know what impact you've made, not just what you've pursued academically. Again, make sure you've bulleted your points so that it's concise, and you know how you've gotten to that point. Try, you know, avoid, I mean, it's just straightforward. Just avoid exaggerating your experience, because, you know, when you get to an interview point and you're asked on it, it could then be, you know, backfire on you at that point if you've not done something and you've said you've done it. Feature relevant technical qualifications. So make sure your education is very specific. If you've done things like a thesis or a master's qualification, highlight what was the objective, the process you followed, what technology stack you've actually completed. It's important if you've written any specific papers, you know, give your corporate client or your agency an insight into this, you know, so that we can see what sort of natural creativity, how innovative were you outside of the workplace. I've just done a very brief template of what your resume should be when I talk about a one-pager. So you can see here, very high level, a little bullet text box at the back with your name, current role, or, you know, if you're not working at the moment, just sort of says, you know, completed your degree, profile picture, which is nice, something very small, make sure it's very professional, and not very large. In terms of your summary, just high level, covering experience or what you've done. Then moving on to experience, listing your latest role or your current role first. If you've not had any experience, focus on those specific projects that I've mentioned. So what projects or voluntary projects that you've worked on outside of your academic pursuits. Education, starting with your highest level, moving on to then your bachelor's, completed achievements, what you've achieved even outside of the world of work or the world of academic institutions. So what you've done personally, where you've been involved through church programs, through voluntary organizations. Again, your skills, very, very important. Please highlight particularly your languages. What programming languages have you worked on? Java, Python, you know, what specific, you know, really go into that AWS cloud, whatever you have done. If you've pursued anything post a bachelor's or a national diploma, so you've got other certifications, also highlight them as well. Your passions, what are you passionate about, or your hobbies and your, you know, what are you passionate about pursuing outside of the world of work or the world of academics? Any questions thus far? Is it quite straightforward? And I will share this presentation with Lisa so that she can share it with this group that's attending today as well.
Thank you, Zara. There's no questions so far.
Great. How to prepare for an interview. Know the basics of your subject. So interviewer, you know, in the interview panel, I mean, at Standard Bank, we actually run an interview panel, and I think it would be quite similar outside at other corporates, whether it's a graduate role or a permanent role that you are applying for. It comprises an interview panel. Generally, it's your hiring manager, and then for that particular role, and then, you know, a panel of his peers. So it would be people within the broader business area, sometimes clients that he actually or she engages with, as well as your people and culture person or somebody like myself sitting on the panel, generally at least 4 to 5 people. So they will definitely be, you know, not just a one-eye view on you in terms of your experience and your qualifications. So, you know, they will focus on what you've covered, make sure that, you know, you have, you know, go over the basics in your discipline, know your topics, make sure that you are affair with what you are talking about. You know, even practice, you know, sometimes there is also a case study or a technical assessment that is covered. Sometimes many times there's technical questions that are covered in the interview. So make sure you brush up on software applications, programming languages that are relevant to the role. Be prepared to talk about the projects as I've mentioned. The technical panel will often focus on project work. because technical graduates can do more independent work, go deeper into subjects, solve problems. So where you've solved problems, they really want to delve into that. Give a summary on that project, what situations you faced, what challenges you faced in that particular project, how you've overcome it, and the results. If you've done group project, make sure you highlight your own individual contribution. If you've led projects, also highlight those as well. What was your part and what were you responsible or accountable for? Use your experience to back up your technical knowledge. So even if you've done holiday work or holiday experience or any sort of brief experience, use it to illustrate your answer, use it to back up what you're saying from a technical perspective. It's not always about being right in terms of your answer. I mean, we're not interested in right or wrong. We understand that you could have hypothetical situations. We know you're not experienced in the world of work. So sometimes even managers will give you a range of scenarios or hypothetical situations. You may not know the answer, but show how you will go about approaching the problem or finding the information. So research skills, how will you go about problem solving? That's important, right? It's not about just your technical and your capabilities. It's about how you reason, how you approach problems, how you plan, how you analyze, and what you do. Importantly, stay calm, be analytical, show your potential employer your analytical skill set and your analytical capability. Okay, make sure you read the task that you're being asked. So make sure that you read whether it's a case study, whether they've given you, don't be afraid to ask for clarification so that you understand. Use your thought processes and your ability to plan and analyze. Your communication skills are exceptionally important in a technical interview. Whether it's face-to-face or on Teams, it's really important. It's not just your technical skills, your personal skills, or your technical jargon. Also show that you're a team player, that you can work with other people, and that you communicate clearly verbally. That covers that piece. If there's any questions up to now, let me know if there's anything that anybody wants clarified. But I think, just to highlight also, the talent acquisition specialists at Standard Bank are very clued up, and if should you apply for a position and you be shortlisted, they will also brief you on what to expect, etc., from a Standard Bank perspective. Now, otherwise I'll move on to your personal branding from that perspective. Is that okay?
There aren't any questions, but just a reminder
sure.
to those on the call, please feel free to post questions in the chat, but there will also be live Q&A afterwards.
So when we talk about personal branding, we're talking about the importance of networking. It's about meeting new people. It's about putting yourself out there. It's about opening doors to new opportunities, exchanging ideas amongst your peers, elevating your profile and making sure people notice you so that you become somebody that corporates want to employ. So it helps you benchmark yourself against other professionals, and it also helps elevate your creative intellect, develop long-lasting relationships in technology. I mean, those relationships that can really last your lifetime and really help you to grow your self-confidence and to also grow your career. It's through mentorships and through networking that you will be able to make your mark in the world of work. The benefits of this, it obviously sets you apart from competitors, from other career opportunity seekers. You want to stand out. It also helps you on your career goals and your career path ambition. It also helps you understand, it answers why a hiring manager would want to work with you. So if a hiring manager sees you visible in the world of work, it makes you much more credible in that technology community that you are part of. So, I mean, if you don't have LinkedIn profiles already, you should already have a LinkedIn profile. You should already make sure you are, you've got your skills, your academic profile up there, very much to similar to resume. You've got that already up there on the world of work, so that a manager, if he comes across your profile, or even myself or the graduate team as they screen you, they will be able to see you and really see how you stand out in the world of work. And I think that's it from a position and types of roles perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, as I've mentioned and as my bio indicated, from a permanent perspective, I am one of 3 talent acquisition specialists within the personal and private banking technology space. I look after, together with my colleague Chulofelo, we cover the personal and private banking South Africa technology platform, as well as the data and analytics and the digital and e-commerce platform. Within those particular pillars or platforms, we recruit particularly for data engineers, quality engineers, developers, Java developers, solution architects, software engineers, covering a wide variety of program languages, cloud, Java, as mentioned, Python, SAS. So really across the board, that's what we look for. We look for, within Standard Bank, we've got a range of job levels. So we start off at entry levels. Generally, our entry level starts with a junior manager, which is what we call the entry level, or even our interns. So I mean, and I'll talk about the graduate and intern program as well, or learnerships, which is run separately. But we would then look into that pool of learners and graduates as a first source for permanent placement opportunities into what we call junior manager level roles. So we start off hiring permanent specialists at a junior manager, moving up to a middle manager, then into senior manager and executive. Those are our levels of in terms of the world, in terms of our workforce. Junior manager generally would be at least a minimum of 3 years experience, or a learnership graduate within Standard Bank, which is generally 2 years. So generally, if we look externally for a junior manager, it would be 3 years of work experience, doing the role that I've mentioned, coupled with a degree. When we talk about qualifications that we look for, we talk about a bachelor's degree in computer science, or mathematics, etc., etc. Why we talk about a bachelor's degree, from a Standard Bank perspective, it is definitely a more, a first prize requirement, because it is the most relevant qualification for Standard Bank technology within a discipline at this point. Obviously, we do hire people with a national diploma that's pursued a BTech, which is an equivalent of a bachelor's, but entry level, our roles at a junior manager, because we expect people or potential employees at that level to be able to function independently, and really just be self-motivated. So that is why we look for people with a bachelor or bachelor's equivalent qualification. We will employ, you've got a national diploma, but then we would give preference to people that have completed a BTech post that national diploma. It's quite imperative that you have pursued a minimum of a degree requirement and completed that degree. So generally in permanent, we will not, or even in graduate placement, you have had to completed your qualification prior to be considered for an opportunity. We have a specific data science graduate program and a technology graduate program. So our programs are split from a data science and then a technology program. That is run by our young talent team. There is a specific young talent team. Intake for 2026 for that program will start next year, March, April. So March, April 2025, you will go, that is when we will advertise nationally on our Standard Bank Careers website. We will also create visibility of this on LinkedIn. Hence, I have reiterated that you need to have a strong personal brand out there and a LinkedIn profile, etc. So you will be able to follow Standard Bank. Please do follow us, go like us on our Standard Bank Group LinkedIn page. We have a LinkedIn page. And you'll be able to get visibility of the opportunity, both for the data science and for the technology graduate program. The numbers, I mean, we can't predict what the numbers would be. That is obviously different by a budget and a business, business plan from a workforce planning perspective as to what numbers we would take into that data science and graduate program specifically. That will start, as I said, March, April next year. We're concluding this year's program already for next year's intake. At this point of the year, we're already quite late in that process. So you will need to apply next year, March, April, for the following year's intake. It is a very stringent and competitive process. We look at academic results. We look at strongly at what your academic results were over the course of the 3-year or 4-year period, if you're doing a bachelor's degree. You will apply via the website, you will upload your resume, you will go through an interview panel process, as I mentioned, as well as a case study process or technical case study assessment process. We also have psychometric processes that we run for all our graduate programs as well as our permanent programs. The psychometric assessments are run by an external vendor that we have nothing to do with. They are a specialist panel of psychometrists and industrial psychologists that manage that for us, specifically that psychometric assessment program for us. From a grad or a learnership program is then where we would appoint from a permanent perspective following completion of that program into permanent opportunities. That would be, as I mentioned, we generally, as our TA specialists, our team of TA specialists within technology, we would look to that program first of people rolling off the program, and that would be our pipeline before we actually go to the market. When we do hire externally from a market perspective, we do also advertise on an internal and careers website, and we would pipeline and screen candidates that apply to our website for permanent roles. But it is very difficult, to appoint people. I mean, in a junior manager or mid-manager level, the requirement, as I said, it's at least 3 to 5 years of experience. At a senior manager, you're looking at 8 to 10 years of relevant work experience. So I would suggest ensure you follow the right conduit, and I would suggest to this group you would go through the graduate recruitment program for next year as your first point of applying for positions within Standard Bank. And I think that sort of covers what I wanted to say. So if we can talk about questions at this point.
Thank you very much, Isa. There's a question on the chat, but before I ask you to answer the question, maybe just in general, you talked about personal branding and the importance thereof. You specifically mentioned LinkedIn. So the question on the chat is, for the purpose of branding myself, but not for, well, they say not for important reasons, but for example, for development of my own business, how best can I make personal branding to draw collaboration incentives? And then they mentioned Blogger or LinkedIn. So I guess, if you need to create a blog for yourself, would a platform like LinkedIn be sufficient? So maybe also just linking that in general to now IT and data science. As you are studying, and especially if you haven't got a lot of work experience, where or how would you prepare yourself for opportunities? What would be the best platforms for you to be active on so that you can show potential employers or business partners what it is that you can bring to the table?
From a professional perspective, thanks for that question, Lisa. Definitely LinkedIn, even blogging from our own business development perspective. But you need to be very active. What do I mean by being very active? At least on a week. Statistics show at least on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, you need to be either posting or liking posts that are relevant to your discipline, or sharing posts from other professional bodies. Try and register with professional bodies. So, even through LinkedIn, LinkedIn will, as an example, refer you or create, however the algorithm works, it will based on your skills and your endorsements. That's why an up-to-date profile is the best point to start, but it will refer and create visibility around professional bodies or groups that you should belong to. Join groups, blog on groups, write articles, and share articles. So even if you don't post your own articles on a weekly basis, I think it is quite extensive and quite time consuming as well. Share other posts, posts that you found interesting elsewhere, but make it tailor-made to your specific discipline. Don't just share blindly. Write blogs, yes. Blogging is a great way if you're talking about your own business, but developing your own business, but make it specific. I think that's quite important, is that whatever you do on social media or on your branding, it should be a very targeted approach. I think the mistake people often make is they keep it very generic, and then it's not noticeable, because these social media tools and conduits work off algorithms. And the algorithm won't be able to pick you up if you are generic, because it's keywords, even CRM tools. What do I mean by CRM tools? I mean that corporates will not necessarily advertise every position on their careers websites. They'll go into a CRM tool. They'll create pipelines. They'll use their own, what we call ATS, or talent tools that we use internally as a bank, or as a corporate broadly. And they'll search those tools, and those tools will trawl places like Indeed, jobs, places like, but it falls based on an algorithm, and that is based on what you put in your profile or in your information and what sort of skills you put. So, that's quite important from a technology perspective. Make sure those skills are there, they're highlighted, the words, the buzzwords are in there, because often we'll search on buzzwords. If we search a PNet, if you've registered on a PNet, or you've registered wherever you've registered, we will search based on buzzwords, looking for a Java developer with this programming language. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Zai. So I think the core message is that in the end, it doesn't matter so much in terms of the platform that you're using, but the process of being intentional, that everything speaks to your personal brand, and that you do it consistently. So those are the two important things. Okay.
Okay. I see a question.
I don't see any hands, but there is a question in the chat. So, yeah. Do you want me to read it out?
I can see it. Yeah, thanks. I'm currently pursuing it just for the interest, of the rest of the team. They're asking about that question I've mentioned about a diploma versus a improve your chance of getting hired. So look, again, the preference is a bachelor's degree or a BTech, and somebody that's already completed that would get preference, right? Based on that it's just in terms of the requirements. That's just a minimum requirement. How you would increase your chances, I would say, if you have the option of pursuing a BTech, yes, do it, right, as a first prize. If that's not a practical option for you, increase your chance of getting hired. I mean, you need to involve yourself in other initiatives. So in other projects, take on other, volunteer for sort of other opportunities, other projects, volunteer where you can. That's what I would suggest. Don't, continue to apply. Don't not apply. But maybe the route would then be also things like internships. I'm not sure what sort of other corporates what their requirements would be. Maybe there are other corporates out there within other industries and non-financial services that would consider in their internship or learnership programs. But internships are then the way to go. With an internship, I think they often take people that are pursuing a final year or have registered for a BTech as an example. And that could be an option for you. But yeah, first prize would always be if you are able to pursue a BTech post your national diploma.
Thank you. So I've also just posted in the chat that the BTech qualifications they have mostly been phased out.
Yes.
But the equivalent qualification at Unisa is called the Advanced Diploma.
Yes.
So I've just shared a link for students in the chat to go and check that out. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, Isaiah, thank you very much. We again, we can keep you here for the rest of the day for questions and answers.
I hope it was useful and helpful to you.
Yeah, you definitely, I think it's always important, as you are thinking about your industry. So in this case, you focus specifically on the technology aspect and how to prepare for opportunities in that field. And also just from my side, the importance of doing this from your first year of study. So, not waiting until the last month of studying or just before your final exams. But these are activities or things that you can start doing from your first year of study to be thoroughly prepared to start applying for these opportunities. I think all of you heard that at institutions like Standard Bank, for example, there are long recruitment, periods, and also in terms of applying in time, for example, for graduate programs. So your next intake is, just to confirm again, you said would be for 2026, and that starts in March, April next year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we publicly, we create a lot of visibility and awareness on it, as I've said, on LinkedIn. Follow our Standard Bank page. I would say, for potential people that are interested in this program, go and follow the page. You'll get up to speed about what's happening, and you'll be able to then get notifications. But look around March. We start generally posting around March next year, and it definitely goes to the external public career website, because we create visibility and of the opportunities. And we've got the two programs depending on your discipline that you're pursuing, data science or technology in general. Okay.
Thank you, Zai. We are going to move on with the program.
Great. Thank you very much
for joining us this morning. Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity and good luck for the rest of the day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Mrs. Makanya, if you could please introduce our next speakers to us.
Thank you, Lisa. Excuse me. Good morning, ladies and good afternoon, rather, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me pleasure to introduce a duo from Alpha Laval who will be presenting today. Firstly, I would like to introduce Dogozo, who is a chemical engineer by profession and holds a Bachelor of Engineering Technology in Chemical Engineering from the Durban University of Technology. She is a dedicated chemical engineer with a passion for innovative problem solving. She has a strong blend of technical expertise and practical industrial sales experience. Her educational background has equipped her with solid foundation in chemical processes and engineering principles, while her professional journey in industrial sales has honed her skills in client relationship management, strategic planning, and technical consulting. She is currently a food and water intern, inside sales engineer at Alpha Laval, South Africa. Her primary focus is on separation technology and food system project. Her interests, ladies and gentlemen, include crocheting and outdoor activities. How interesting that is for an engineer. Second is Mr. Mandla Ndlovu, who is a mechanical engineer by profession, and he holds a Bachelor of Technology, Engineering Technology. No, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. He holds a B Engineering Mechanical degree with the University of Johannesburg. He is currently a field sales engineer at Alpha Laval, South Africa as well. His primary focus at Alpha Laval is on separation technology and food system projects. He has worked in several projects within the manufacturing industry. And ladies and gentlemen, his interest in soccer and jazz music. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a virtual round of applause for our speakers as they come to our virtual stage. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everyone. What a nice intro. That was nice to be introduced like that. I've got my colleague Ntokozo on the line. They've already introduced us. So I'll just take you through, guys, in terms of what we do at Alpha Laval. Can you guys see our screen?
We can. Thank you very much.
Okay. So basically, we'll just take you through what we do at Alpha Laval and also show where we apply our product and services and also show the opportunities inside Alpha Laval and what our program has also delivered for other interns or other newcomers in the industry. And those will take care of that section. I'll do all the introduction in terms of what is Alpha Laval, what do we do, what do we have to offer, what technologies and which spaces we play in. So basically, Alpha Laval is a Swedish company. It was discovered by Gustav D. Laval. He's a Swedish engineer. He was involved in a lot of research in steam turbines. He's there in separation. So his key discovery was a separator, which included a milk separator. That's why today we've got long life milk, we've got full cream milk and skim milk and low fat milk. This is because of this innovation. So the guy had about 37 companies and had 200 projects and inventions. But unfortunately, he died poor, very poor, because he spent his money trying to develop a lot of patents. Hence, we see he's got 92 registered patents. Some are still going on today, but he's no longer alive. But his work is still continuing and the company is still family owned. So our purpose at Alpha Laval is to accelerate success for our customers, because if our customers grows, we also grow, because we basically form a partnership with them. We develop our product around our customer needs. And also people is the engine of the business, because it's mostly engineering work. So people need to design, come up with innovative way to meet up with new regulations, with the demands, the growing population. So we need machines that work faster and also cost effective. That's why we also include protecting the environment or the planet. So the nice thing with Alpha Laval, as I've said, as you saw, as part of the purpose, people are one of the key focuses of Alpha Laval. So there is some formal training and also some informal training in the business. And then the nice thing is from day one, you are given a responsibility, which means we trust you. And also it will give you an opportunity to grow, because you will learn from your mistakes and eventually you'll become better and better and become an expert in that specific field or in that specific role that you are working on. And also safety. We've got the slogan where we say everyone must go home safe, because we work in a built environment. So there is some environmental assessment and safety assessment that needs to be done in each and every job that is done. So one of the key drivers in the recent years that we have seen is the reason we're getting business is because there's a growing energy needs. We've seen in South Africa, we had load shedding. Our machines and the power stations are not performing the way they should be. Hence, we're looking for alternative energy sources, such as hydrogen. You know, those are the type of projects where we get involved. And also, there's a lot of legislation changes on the environmental side. So in terms of emissions, there's stricter and there's penalties on the wastewater side or the effluent. There's also some strict penalties on that side. So customers are constantly looking for ways to work around these regulations. So Alpha Laval partners with customers to solve those issues using engineering principles. And also people now are looking to live a healthy lifestyle, live longer, and all those things. So we try to find mechanical ways to treat food or product without putting a lot of chemicals into the food product. And also the transport demand I'll show how does this come in to our organization. Also, climate change and water scarcity is also one of the factors. For example, in South Africa is a water scarce country, so water regulations are extremely strict, especially on the industries where they consume a lot of water. This is becoming a key focus in those customers. How can we reuse water? How can we use water savings on the actual operation? So Alpha Laval is involved in plenty of industries from manufacturing, mining, marine, and also on the facility side, we also involved. This is some of just the basic industries, biofuels. As I've said, we're looking for alternative fuels on the marine side and diesel engines for the marines, for the power station, on metalworking, oil and gas, paper and pulp, even in refrigeration, industrial refrigeration mostly, and also the sugar mills, wastewater treatment plants for industrial and also for municipal wastewater. We're also involved on that side. Also food and bev, which is one of the biggest sectors. Yeah, this is just a highlight of which industries we are involved in. So in Alpha Laval, all those industries, we split them into 3 divisions. We've got the energy division, which covers most of the manufacturing and the mining. So this will include HVAC, oil and gas, chemicals, biofuels. This will fall under energy division. So all the energy intensive industries will fall under energy. So your paper and pulp, your steel work, that will fall under energy. And then in food and water, this is where we focus on food systems and also separation and fluid handling. But this focuses mainly on food and bev, wastewater, treatment plants, and also alternative foods like protein. Now we're discovering a lot of protein sources. We assist our customers to harvest that protein. Also in marine, the marine industry is actually very big. There's a lot of ships in the sea. So we support the customers in the ships, because if you think of it, if you're in a ship in the middle of nowhere, you still need to get support because you need to arrive to your destination. So we support them remotely, and also we send people to the ship to service them, maintain them, or attend to breakdowns. So Alpha Laval has got 3 key technologies. As I've said, the initial technology was separation, where we discovered the separator specifically for the dairy industry. But over the years, a lot of innovation has been done. So now we are involved in heat transfer. So heat transfer, it can be heating, or it can be cooling, or it can be evaporation. So that will be part of heat transfer. Mostly we use heat exchangers. We define it as a heat transfer system. Sometimes we use thermal separation, which will fall under heat transfer. We also got the separation division, which the separation business unit. It is applicable on all 3 divisions. You can apply it on energy division, where they separate pulp. They want to dry the pulp and recover most of the liquid on that side. You can use it in food and water, in breweries, sugar mills. It is applicable in marine, mostly when they remove the oil. They clean the oil, or they purify the oil from the water, and also their diesel in the ships. We also have fluid handling. So I'll show when we go through the process. If you have a heat exchanger and a separator, you need some fluid handling in between to transport the fluid from one point to the next point. So that will be your fluid handling. So it's pumps, valves, hygienic cleaning equipment, especially on the food and water side. That's a big division. So one of the strengths of Alpha Laval is that it is a global company. So we've got all the data for global presence, what is happening in which country, what's going to happen next on this region, geographic regions. We have specialized product. Most of them are patented. So they are highly engineered, and we become market leaders, because by the time our competitors are trying to catch up on our previous patent, we're moving to the next. So we're always ahead of our competitors, and it makes us a global market leader. And then we've got a big customer base, diverse customer base, both on different regions. And also we've got a strong brand recognition. You can see on LinkedIn the number of followers. It's quite a big following. From a business point of view, you know, they say the numbers don't lie. You can see on capital sales, it means projects, new installations of equipment to customer sites, whether it's a replacement or it's a new innovation or it's the increasing capacity or they're trying to improve a process, that will fall under capital sales. That is bulk of our business. And we also got the service business, which supports the installed equipment, basically having people to go and maintain those equipment and giving also parts for replacement. And then if you look at it from an application point of view, you can see heat transfer, it's leading because most of the equipment is it's run to failure, you run it to replace it. Some you can maintain if it's a bigger unit. Separation is it's a small business unit because once you have one separator or separating equipment, it's going to run for the next 20, 30 years. Hence, the volume is low because they're not constantly buying it. Fluid handling will be on the high side also because it's pumps. It's also one of those things that we run to failure and replace it unless it's a big pump. So also, as I've said, one of the key drivers now is the environmental requirements. We're starting to see an increase on those specific environmental projects. And then there's all other product where it's a mix of components or specifically designed projects. In terms of geographic presence, Africa, it's a small presence at this stage. Bulk of the business is coming from Asia, driven by India and China because of obvious reasons, the population on that side. And also the Western European side is also quite big. They're also doing a lot of business and there's brand recognition in terms of Alfa Laval, followed by the North America region. So just to give you an idea in terms of our R&D, hence I said we're constantly investing a lot of money in developing new products, which give us the advantage against our competitors. Last year, there was about 100 new product launches. And also these include, we work with our partners to develop this specific product, whether it's an improvement patent or it's a completely new product. And there's quite a big investment that has been done on R&D. So it's a team of engineers sitting around the world, understanding different processes, and developing new product for new processes. As we have seen, now there's a lot of alternative foods. There's a lot of people who are becoming lactose intolerant, so we need new sources of dairy for protein. We're getting a lot of sources of protein like insects, so they're constantly developing those type of processes. And also in terms of presence, we've got 37 major production units situated in different countries around the world. We've got more than 100 service centers. In South Africa, we've got one. In Africa, we've got 3. One in South Africa, one in Angola, and one in Kenya. And then we are present in about 55 countries with sales offices. Sales offices is basically where you've got the sales team, the engineers, the people who design the solution will be sitting in all these 55 sales offices. And then there's about sales representative. This is companies that stock our product and resell. So they are present in about 45 countries. Because I mean, it's impossible for us to get in each and every corner. So we've got partners that buy our product and resell them. This is just a world map to see how present we are. And some of the areas where we're not present, for example, if you are in South Africa, you'll support all of these SADC countries. Myself and Togos, we're coming from a food and water division. We'll go into detail in terms of what we do in food and water and this product that I've been talking about. What are they? How do they work? And how can you be involved in this? So we've got high-speed separators. This is basically where you use you separate different densities. This is the type of machine. It's got a bowl inside it. There's a lot of disk stacks that are doing all the separation in between using the G forces created inside the bowl. I'll show you now how it works. This is mostly for small particles. The separators is for small particles. And then we've got the decanter, which can take a much more larger solid particles and also a big quantity of solids. Let's say in a flow, you've got 30% solids. You need to remove them from the liquid and recover that liquid for reuse or for whatever application. And then we've got the hygienic fluid handling. We've got as part of the regulation, if you're running a food factory, you need to clean it almost daily. But you mean, if you think of it, if you have a big tank, 10,000, 20,000 liter tank, it's almost impossible to clean it with someone going inside it on a daily basis. So you need technologies to clean those tanks. So this is part of those type of equipment that we use. And then we've got the heat transfer technologies, where you want to heat or cool a certain product, or you want to recover some energy. For example, if you've got a boiler running outside, all those flue gases going into the atmosphere, you can take those gases, put it through a heat exchanger and preheat your product, or basically heat your product to that specific or that desired temperature. And then when we say food systems, this is a complete system which will include all 4 systems to perform a specific task. We call that a system because it's not a product from shelf. We design it according to the customer specific needs. This is some of the industries we play in the food and water. Our leading industry will be brewery. The guys like Heineken, SAB, those are one of our biggest customers. And then we've got the dairy business, which is going quite well. We're mostly working with the company called Tetra Pak. It's a sister company. And then in the pharma, we saw a big boom during COVID-19 situation in 2020. We got a lot of orders in that industry. Lucky, we also have a wide range of products for the pharma industry. And also the pharma industry has a lot of regulation in terms of food safety, and environment. Protein, as I've said, we've got a lot of projects going on. Even in South Africa, there is some projects where they're looking for alternative protein, and also the traditional protein like your abattoirs. They are also one of our biggest customers. We've got the edible oil industry. This is where I can say we're a market leader. I think our market share is above 80% in the edible oil refining projects. We've supplied a lot of new refineries in South Africa and also in Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique. This is where we've got quite a big project. And we've got the beverage side, which will include the raw materials in the farms where they process the oranges to a concentrate. And then also the next stage will be where they make the nectars or the juice blends that you see mostly on the shelf. We supply the equipment to process that. On wastewater, we do potable water and we also do wastewater and also industrial wastewater. So we work with municipalities like Umgeni Water, City of Cape Town, Rand Water. We supply them with a lot of equipment and also consultation on that side. And then we've got ethanol, sugar, and starch. Sugar is sort of going down, but ethanol is it's a big industry. Some of the waste product from the sugar mills, they are used to produce ethanol. We've got companies like Alco NCP, Ilovo, they do a lot of ethanol on their plants. So on this slide, I just got an example just to show the different technologies, how do they come together to perform a specific function. In this case, we took an example of an avocado oil line where mostly will be in the farm itself. They harvest the avocados, they put them in the ripening room. When they are ripe, and then they'll process the avocados. But what we've seen is the top grade or the high grade of avocados, they sell as a fruit, whether it's a guacamole or sliced, and and then the low size fruits, then they'll process it to avocado. It's a background noise.
Sorry about that. Everybody on the call, please just keep your microphones on mute.
So in this case, what they would do is the avocados will be harvested from the farm. They receive it, they do some quality check where they do the sorting, check the one that are not ripe correctly, some are rotten and all those things. And then they'll go through a washing stage to remove some of the pesticides from the farm, some stems that are left, some leaves, grass, and all those things. Done on the washing stage, and then it'll go to a destoner. So what we have seen is the extra virgin avocado oil or even olive oil it's growing. So in Europe they prefer the olive oil, but because the new generation does not like the farming and doing all that hard labor in the farms, so they have to look for an alternative, and the best alternative is avocado oil. But if you check on shelf, compare olive oil and avocado oil, you'll see avocado oil is much more cheaper, and it's almost the same thing. The taste, everything is the same. So we're seeing a big boom in Africa because we've got plenty of avocados, and most of it end up being waste. Instead of being wasted, they can be processed to avocado oil. So basically what we do is we remove the skin on this toner and partial peeling. The skin and the peels and the seed or the stone will be removed, which can be used as a biofuel. You can burn it to run a boiler. Some, they say they make tea from the seed. There's a lot of things that you can do with the seed, and then you're gonna have the green matter or the paste only, where it's gonna be crushed nicely, or like sort of form sort of like a mesh, and then from there it's gonna be taken to a malaxa. In the malaxa, basically what they do is it gets heated up to a certain temperature so that the oil cells inside the fruit releases the oil. But at this stage, it's difficult to separate because it's sort of a paste. It's a paste that is very oily. So you want to recover maximum oil from that paste. So what you do is you put it through a decanter. This is where our separation technology comes in, because you've got a paste or this mesh avocado, very wet, but it's not water, it's mostly oil. So you want to recover maximum oil from this paste. So what we do is we add water to that flow to make it more slurry, or so that it's easy to separate. We put it through our decanter, which is a rotating machine. If you look here, we've got a drive motor. I'll show you now how it works. It's got a drive motor and a back motor. It goes through this decanter, which perform the separation. It will separate the water, the solids, which is the paste. Now the paste has been strained to maximum, so it becomes sort of like a dry matter with the pulp, and then you'll recover most of the oil mixed with a bit of water, sort of like an emulsion, but most of it will be the oil. And then you add some clean water. You put it now in the separator, of which I've showed you. I'll also show you now in detail how it looks like. And in between these different equipment I just didn't mention, it's not shown, there is pumps in between to pump this paste from this machine to that machine. We put a pump in between. That's how the fluid handling division comes in, or BU comes in. That will be fluid handling, and the valves in between, the valves that close here to wait for the paste to be cooked. After a certain period of time, it will open up to allow the paste to go through the decanter, and after the decanter also you've got valves to control in between. That's the nice thing of it. And you also have the electrical side or the automation side, where you've got the panel, just put in the values and it does everything automatically. And then you've got the separator that will remove the water from the oil that came in. The water can be used back into the line. You don't need to throw it away because there is a bit of oil in it. And then the clean oil then will go for packaging now. Will either be bottled or it's sold as bulk to the Europe markets, or and those type of things. Let me first show you the decanter. Got a small video here just to show how the decanter works. This is the decanter machine. So the product will be coming in here, going through a tube, and it will come out here in the center. So if you look at it correctly, you've got this outer shell is rotating also, it's a bowl, and you've got this screw conveyor. So the G-forces will push all the solids at the peripheral of this drum, and then the screw conveyor will push all the solids this side. And the solids will displace the water, or the water will use gravity to go back to that side. You're going to have the oil this side in case of the olive oil, and then you're going to have the dry matter this side. Then you have done this, the separation successful. And the nice thing, this machine, you see, it's the economics of it is clean, less human interaction. It runs continuously. For example, an avocado is a seasonal fruit. You don't want to stop. You just want to run the machine until the end of the season, and then only work with the maintenance of it in between. So the machine has different components. It's got a gearbox, it's got a motor, back drive motor, it's got a main drive motor. You've got some sensors there. So there's a lot of things involved. There's mechanical application that you have to know, the electrical application. You also need to know the chemical engineering of how the product is reacting as it's being treated in this way. Basically, that is how the decanter look like. And then we've got also the separator. This is how the separator will look like. So you've got these lines, these are discs, these stacks. So these discs are rotating, the whole bowl is rotating at very high RPMs, 5,000, 6,000 RPMs. And then you're gonna have some G-forces that is gonna be created towards that direction, outside of the center, away from the center. You're gonna have the centrifugal forces that have been formed here. So because the fluid is in there, so you use density. So for example, if you take water and you put sand on it, the sand will go and sit at the bottom because of gravity, and the sand is heavier than the water. But if you take oil and pour it in water, the oil will come and sit on top of the water. It won't sink, it will be on top because of the density difference. So we use the same principle in the separator, because we know all the solids in the flow will be heavy, they will sit here, and then the water is heavier than the oil, will be the next fluid, and the lightest fluid will be the oil, will be on top. And then in this case, you can see the centered one, which will be the oil in this case, will go on that outlet. The water will go that outlet. The solid will be discharged and collected in this bowl. This is a basic principle of it, of our technology. Obviously, in real life, it's not as easy as I say. There's equipment in between. There's some automation. There's some electrical knowledge that you need to have to work on this machine, and you also you need to understand the process from a process point of view, or from a chemical engineering point of view, of how these things will work. So at Alpha Laval, there's constant learning. Learning is actually not an option. It's a must do. You have to do it. There's KPIs of a number of certain trainings you need to do in a year. If you do over and above that, that is good. And you have to network globally if you want to grow, but that's optional. That's just an idea that I've made in terms of if you want to grow. As you've seen, Alpha Laval is a global company. You need to network with as much people as you can, so that you can get opportunities, what is happening in other regions, and learn from them and apply it locally. And also personal brand. I saw Isai, she also emphasized personal brand, being visible at work. Don't just be a ghost. Make sure you are visible wherever you are, even on social network platforms. For example, LinkedIn. You can be visible on LinkedIn. Create your own post or share other people's content, or share with the comment. Put your own opinion within someone else's article, or any company content you can share, or even your own content you can share, just to grow your personal brand. And then at Alpha Laval, from an opportunity point of view, we've got the YES program. I know a lot of people now are thinking it must be engineering related. No, there is obviously the core of the business is engineering, but there is still support functions. I'll give this to Ntokozo to go through it. Ntokozo, I think you can go through.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be taking you through the opportunities that we have at Alpha Laval. We have what we call the YES for Youth program. That is an initiative between Alpha Laval and the YES for Youth Employment Services that is there to address youth unemployment and upskilling the youth through job placement. So this YES for Youth initiative is a 1-year program. It's where it is structured, but it is also flexible according to what you would like to be exposed to, and also according to your needs as well. Alpha Laval has this yearly intake for the graduate programs. We have 4 divisions which we offer for the core functions, that is the food and water, energy, marine, and also the service division. And then we also have other functions, which is the finance and also human resources. But for the first 4 core divisions, you can apply for the graduate programs, which can all either be the inside sales, in which it is the current position that I'm at, or it can be products and application engineer as well. So inside sales engineer, it's direct contact with the customer. You're handling customer inquiries directly. And then products and application engineer, that's where they are creating quotations for customers and assisting the inside sales engineers with the technical information regarding the customer inquiries. Okay, and then after completing the graduate program, a graduate can either be absorbed within the organization according to the skills demonstrated within the program. With that, you can either become a product and application engineer, that's if you started as a product and application intern, or you can become an inside sales engineer or field sales engineer if you started as inside sales engineer. So for field sales engineer, that's the current position that Mandla is at. But with him, he is mostly directly with customers as well, but in the field, as it says, it's a field sales. So he's mostly outdoors, he's mostly inside, in customer sites, helping with customer inquiries. Okay, so for this project, can you go to the next slide, Mandla? For this program, we have the minimum requirements for, I'll only speak for the core functions, right? So Alpha Laval is only looking for a diploma or degree in either chemical, mechanical, or industrial engineering. And you have to be a recent graduate. If not, you have to be unemployed at the start of the program. And lastly, you have to have never participated in the YES for Youth program before. So these are the 3 main minimum requirements, but there are other requirements that are on the job post. And then lastly, the positions, the vacancies for, can you go on the last slide, Mandla? The vacancies for these internship programs, they are available yearly, meaning that there is no set date as to this particular position will be opened maybe this year by this time, but you can check out our LinkedIn page, and you can also follow us on our LinkedIn, and that's where you will see the opportunities when they open. And it depends on the divisions as to when they want to have their intake, their intern intake. So just keep just keep in touch with our LinkedIn page, and then you'll get more information regarding that. Thank you.
That's it from us, guys. If you have questions, we're here to take questions.
Thank you very much, Mandla, and also very informative an explanation about even the machinery that you can encounter in your work environment. but also then sharing, how to connect with opportunities at Alpha Laval. Excuse me. I'm not sure if there's anybody who would want to ask a question. You're also welcome to ask your question in the chat. Let me just check if we can see anyone. Maybe just a question from my side to both of you. In the introduction, you were, excuse me, introduced as engineers. So the type of work that you're doing now, would you characterize it more as technical, or how did it change from, for example, what you were expecting as you were studying and thinking about studying engineering to where you are right now? If each of you could maybe just share a bit about your personal journey, and also maybe, how you went about identifying then, the company Alpha Laval to work at.
Yeah, I'll take that. So with Alpha Laval, so as you've seen, those products are extremely technical. So most of the salespeople that are within Alpha Laval, they will need the engineering background so they can have or they can understand what the customer is saying, because mostly you'll be dealing with production managers, reliability engineers, or engineering managers on site. They'll give you the information as is, so it's up to you how you analyze the information they're giving you and customize a solution for them. So you need a bit of both. You need to have the interpersonal skills. You also need to have the technical skills, but the important one I would say is the interpersonal skills in this role. And then in terms of discovering Alpha Laval, I was lucky when I started working. I worked for a company called Tetra Pak, which is mostly focusing on packaging. It's the sister company of Alpha Laval. But then I was mostly aligning with what Alpha Laval is doing. Then I moved to Alpha Laval.
Thank you.
In terms of what I was expecting, is that I realized that it's important to have the technical skills, but the interpersonal skills is what will help you to build relationships with customers, and people buy from people they like. It's just how it is.
Yeah, know, trust, and like.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mandla. And from your side, Ntokozo?
Yeah, from my side, I studied chemical engineering, right? But what I love about it is the flexibility that it offers us. Just because it's engineering, it does not necessarily mean that we'll be maybe in production or maybe we'll be in the lab, as most chemical engineers who are currently studying chemical engineering are thinking. It has a broad scope in which sales also falls under. So it gives you that bit of a flexibility when it comes to that. And in terms of how I discovered Alpha Laval, it was through LinkedIn. I do have a little bit of presence on LinkedIn, so I got to follow companies that I had an interest in, and then that's where I got in touch with them.
Thank you, Ntokozo. Tell me, I'm now curious, also on behalf of students, your profile on LinkedIn and following companies that you were interested in working in. Could you perhaps share a bit more about how did you go about identifying those companies? What were some of the things that you did to help you connect to the right companies?
Okay, so firstly, the things that I do is I identify what I like. Okay, I see that, okay, these are the industries which I would be most suitable to go into. Okay, so sales, it's a tick for me. I go through LinkedIn, but before I even start searching the companies, I begin by creating a profile for myself so that even when I begin by connecting with the relevant people in that company, I have a bit of presence on LinkedIn. So I created a LinkedIn profile, and then I went through what I liked. Okay, this is the industry that I'm interested in. This is what I'm interested in as well. And then I began by searching those companies that falls within those industries and connecting with the people in those companies.
Thank you. That's quite interesting. So what I heard you say is to really identify with, what kind of industries you would want to work in, and also linking that to your personal interests. What is it that you would want to, or what kind of, value would you want to add to a specific company? Mandla and Tukoso, we thank you very much. I don't see any hands or questions in the chat, but you did indicate that if anyone is interested in opportunities at Alpha Laval, they are more than welcome to follow them on LinkedIn, and also to be updated on any possible opportunities. I guess also on the Alpha Laval website, there would be further information about career opportunities at Alpha Laval. So from our side, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, by the way, thank you to Saneli Siwe. She is also from Alpha Laval. She assisted us with connecting with the two of you as speakers. So we really appreciate Alpha Laval's contribution to our event today. Okay, Mrs. Makanya, could you please, I'm not sure, I don't see our next presenter. Could you maybe just advise us?
Oh my goodness. Oh, he is. No, he is not here. Okay. Perhaps in the meantime, if you can just do the announcements, let me check what is happening.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll just do the announcements that we normally do at the end of the session, while Mrs. Makanya is just checking in with our final speaker from the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. So I'm just going to share my presentation again. Okay, so today you heard quite a lot about exploring different opportunities in different fields related to science, engineering, and technology. So there are just two further resources that we would really also recommend for you to go and download and work through. Both of these resources are available free of charge. The first one is called the PNet Grad Pack. There is a link for you to download it. I'll also post it in the chat as well as the QR code. And this publication focuses on topics such as building a CV, interview tips, also cleaning up your social media. So answering questions such as what are employers looking for in graduates, what you might expect in the recruitment process, salary negotiations, and then, as I mentioned, compiling a CV. And then the second book is called the Grad Next book. And the purpose is basically to help final year students, but actually any year students, to prepare to make a transition from student life to the working world. It is also applicable for many of students who are currently working, but they may be wanting to explore new opportunities. So again, the focus there is on personal branding, preparing for an interview, job searching, but it also touches on how to start your own business and then putting together your personal brand in terms of writing your CV, cover letters, as well as networking. Then just in terms of the counselling and career development services, we are available by email. So you're welcome to send us an email to counselling@unisa.ac.za. Students can also book online appointments with us on Microsoft Teams, or you could contact a counsellor at a regional office closest to you to make an appointment for counselling in person. Then on our website at www.unisa.ac.za/counselling, we've got a number of self-help resources that you can access, specifically about employability skills and career development, but also to help you in terms of your academic development and your personal development. Then on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Unisa Careers, we've got a number of recordings of events such as this one that you've been attending today. And you are also welcome to go and explore the different recordings. Again, the focus is on career events, but also on study skills as well as personal development. Today is actually the second last event that we have in terms of our career talks for the year. But please feel free to check in with us by email or then to make an appointment if you need any support in terms of discussing how you could manage your career and how you could search for opportunities. So that is it for the announcements from my side. Mrs. Makanya, I'm not sure if you have managed to reach our next presenter.
Hi, Lisa. I'm still trying to get hold of him. Do you
Okay.
see anything on the guest list?
I don't see Mr. Mtombeni here.
Tombeni?
Yeah, no.
Okay,
Becky,
okay, perhaps Becky can go on, can proceed.
okay, so let's just give Mrs. Makanya an opportunity to reach out to our next presenter. It could be that he's experiencing challenges to connect. If that is the case, if we could just get feedback, we will be able to make a plan, for example, in terms of getting a recording to you of the presentation that he was to give. I think I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Mr. Mzobi. I know it's a bit, unconventional to do a vote of thanks before the event is maybe over. But Becky, if you could perhaps do that for us. If Mr. Mdobeni is then able to connect with us, we will still have his presentation. But in the case of him not being able to connect, we will then end off with a vote of thanks. So Becky, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon, everyone. As we end this enlightening career talk event focused on career and study opportunities related to science, engineering, and technology, on behalf of my colleagues, I take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation to our guest speakers for their invaluable contributions. Your insights have greatly enriched today's event. I start with our first speaker, Dr. Mononde from Unisa Institute for Nanotechnology and Water Sustainability, for sharing with us a fascinating overview of what nanotechnology is, application of nanotechnology, especially in water sustainability, medicine, energy, and other various fields where nanotechnology is applicable. We also spoke about study and career opportunities concerning nanotechnology. We thank you, Dr. Mononde, for sharing such an informative and inspiring presentation. Our second speaker is from Standard Bank. She focused on planning your career in data science and in technology. She touched on a number of things, such as how you create your CV, how you prepare for an interview, personal branding, and opportunities and programs that are available at Standard Bank. Thank you, Isa, for your contribution. Our third speaker or speakers, Mandla, Jovu, and Togozo Ngema from Alpha Laval. They gave us an overview of what they do at Alpha Laval and opportunities that are available at Alpha Laval. Thank you, Mandla and Togozo, for your contribution. Once again, thank you to our students for participating and making this event interactive and engaging. We hope the insight that you gained today will help you to shape your career, and we look forward to seeing you at our future events. Thank you all. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mzobi, for that. Thank you. Just maybe also a comment from my side is that all of our speakers, what I picked up is that there's quite a common theme, that as you are preparing for these opportunities, as you are identifying the opportunities, it's quite important for you to have a very broad understanding of the different industries, of different fields. And I heard a lot about doing research in terms of identifying those opportunities and how you could prepare for those. Mrs. Makanya, I am just checking in with you again.
My apologies. Unfortunately, I can't reach Mr. Gibson, and probably, ladies and gentlemen, he has a technical problem, or he might be held up in a work commitment that he can't get out of, and for that we sincerely apologize, and we'll make arrangements that we have him to present at some stage when it is convenient for him. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Makanya. So with that, we will then end off today's session. As Mrs. Makanya also now mentioned, we will then make space at a later time for the presentation from for mining engineering students. We deeply appreciate the time that you took to stay connected throughout the session. And we hope that this is not the last time that we hear or see you. And we really invite you to connect with us as I've shared the contact details in the chat. So with that, I'm going to end the session, and thank you very much to all of you who've attended, as well as my colleagues who supported me. Thank you.